The cars passing in the background is my villain backstory. The Dabi reveal is that I am Dabi. Just letting you all know. Hello, welcome back. Not gonna lie, I planned this video for right after chapter 290, but life and uni and mental health got in the way, so yeah, I am 2 weeks late, but I think this is still relevant and we have a manga break this week, so yeah, let's pretend this is the fateful day of November 5th. The leaks just came out, the election is going on, Dabi and Destiel are trending on Twitter, and I'm in the process of losing my shit. If you're a manga reader, you know exactly what I'm about to say. If not, this is me giving you a chance to click off before you get massively spoiled. Like, extremely spoiled for a pretty important plot point. Don't worry, I'll wait. Take your time. And while you're gone, maybe give my previous view a peek and let me know what you think. Also, if you go back to my previous video, there's a really weird censorship thing right at the beginning, like the first 15 seconds, and that happened because I tried to further blur out that one slur picture, but I am useless at anything in life, so I just have weird censorship in the beginning, so if you can ignore that, you're a champ. Okay, so a reveal this huge had to be planned to perfection. It had to be timed and coordinated just the right way. And as usual, Horikoshi blew all our expectations away and gave us the Toya reveal with perfect execution.
But other than being a pretty historical chapter for My Hero Academia, what does 290 tell us about the story and its characters? In this video, I'll share a bit of my own analysis while also looking at the ways in which Horikoshi portrays and explores trauma. Enjoy!
We're back in the battlefield. Shoto and Nejire team up quite spectacularly to attack Shigaraki while Midoriya and Bakugo and Endeavor are down. In the distance, heavy footsteps announce the arrival of a new threat, and Gigantomachia crashes into the scene, carrying the League of Villains on his back, and sending the heroes flying as they struggle to get back into fighting position. Gigantomachia now has Shigaraki, but he is delivering someone just as terrifying. Dabi makes his grand entrance. In his hand, what looks like a bottle of water, or maybe some kind of solvent, on his lips, a threatening smile. Endeavor spits out Dabi's name, readying himself for battle. And that's when the villain utters the words that will be burned into the Todoroki family's collective memory, and My Hero history itself, forever. Is that any way to address me? I have a great name. Call me Toya. The plan he has been engineering for months, if not years, has come into fruition. Horikoshi gives the reader a privileged view of what is happening. We both get to hear Toya's monologue with his father, as well as the transmission he is now broadcasting to all of Japan. Dabi's broadcast, and what he says about Endeavor's deranged thirst for power, the way hero society prioritizes fame and success over the well-being of others, brings us back to Stain and his ideals. Dabi's allegiance never quite lied with the League. He stated this from the beginning. He is Stain's follower, first and foremost, and by doing this, he is not only sating his thirst for revenge, but carrying his idol's legacy. Above all else, My Hero is a story about legacy, and the different things people choose to do with it. One for All's legacy, passed on from Nana to All Might, and then later from All Might to Midoriya, a shining legacy of self-sacrifice. Endeavor's legacy, a twisted perversion of the legacy of heroes All Might and the OFA users strive to pass on from generation to generation. His legacy is one of unbridled and destructive ambition, much like his fire, whose only end result is burning everything in his path. This is not the legacy that Shoto chooses to receive. What he does with it is learn that sometimes legacies have to end with us, and so he strives to create a new one and create a name for himself. At first he does this by refusing to use his father's fire powers. After the sports festival, however, Midoriya helps him forge a new view on personal legacy. Through his power, hard work, and the relationships he starts allowing himself to build, Shoto leans on Endeavor's legacy as a stepping stone for his dreams. Then we have arguably the second most important legacy in the story, All for One's. While Endeavor's was a perversion of One for All's, AFO's is a complete reversal, and it's through Shigaraki that he accomplishes, or at least strives to carry on this legacy. And as we've discovered since the beginning of this arc, he is the closest one to achieving his goals. And finally, we have the legacy that Dabi's dance so masterfully brings to the pages of Shonen Jump. A legacy that for many has been forgotten since the early chapters of Hiroaka, but that for Dabi, now once again Toya, has been his most powerful driving force, perhaps even more than his hatred for his father. Dabi, for better or for worse, has always been an important villain, but never one that received much attention. We have spent much longer with the likes of Shigaraki, our main antagonist, Toga twice an overhaul. Dabi lurks in the shadows. he's usually pictured as being bored, distracted, or uninterested in the goings-on of the League of Villains, and later the Paranormal Liberation Front. It showcases his alienation from both the world of heroes and the world of villains. Dabi serves Dabi, first and foremost. And so, it is extra impactful when Toya waltzes into view of the heroes in chapter 290. As with everything since his escape from the Todoroki household, he's doing things on his own terms. The first glimpse we get of Dabi in 290 is him sitting in an almost empty room, presumably at the Gunga Mountain Villa. His clothes are shed on the floor, and we're given full view of his bare, scarred chest. It's a representation of Dabi finally revealing himself, and shedding not only his clothes, but also his past, and all the mystery he has built around him since his very first appearance, when he simply told us, "Lately, I go by Dabi." Additionally, this rather vulnerable view is the one he gives his mother, and at an even larger scale, Japan. It's his attempt to not only be truthful, as he decides to confess his crimes before he even starts on endeavors, but also to make them sympathize with him. That is not the facet he shows his father and the heroes. To them, he shows his usually cocky self, up high on Gigantomachi's back. He comments on how small they are, just like ants. He wants to feel big. He deserves to feel big. After all the years Endeavor made him feel small, weak, and insignificant. For the first time in his life, Toya is one-upping his father, and perhaps is the small victory that registers as his biggest act of revenge. It is heartbreaking to hear Toya say, "These murderous flames of mine are endeavors." Much like his younger brother Shoto, Toya keeps defining his power, and as an extension, his identity, in light of the abuse he suffered at the hands of his father. I can't help but think that his actions against Enji, in a twisted way, also represent actions against himself, at least in Dabi's mind. After all, it's been established that his quirk eats up at him, slowly but surely destroying him with every use. Many people were shocked with the reveal that Dabi was ready to murder Shoto just to get back at his father. However, it isn't much surprising or implausible to me. Trauma does fucked up shit to you, and while for many it results in a heightened sense of empathy, for others it creates a vortex of pure hate. And it's in the spiral that a young Toya finds himself, his only lifeline being Stain's ideals, and an unquenchable thirst for revenge. The story of the Todorokis is a story of abuse and trauma, and Horikoshi does a masterful job at representing the different ways in which people learn to cope and deal with their familial trauma. Fuyumi, always described as being nurturing and personable, desperately attempts to stitch back together a family that was torn from the beginning. Natsuo, the child that was closest to Toya, completely turns against his father and refuses to forgive him, turning his love and affection towards his siblings, specifically Shoto, who is only now getting to know. Shoto is torn between the two ends of the spectrum. There's a part of him that wants to forgive, that needs to forgive, and yet the damage is too great. And this is a boy that had to grow up without a family, without friends, and now that he is older, he is thrown into a war. This chapter showcases beautifully how destructive abuse is, not only for the victims, but for the abusers themselves. Dabi's dance is a symbol of freedom, but it is also grotesque. Dancing, a common symbol of happiness and merriment, is juxtaposed with stark images of a battle-torn city. And at the center of it all, Toya's disfigured body, twirling in a macabre dance as he reveals his plan to destroy not only his father and brother, but hero society as a whole. This is the beginning of Endeavor's unraveling, and perhaps of Dabi's too. Much like Ahab and his whale, their final dance will be together. And that's it! I finally did it. It took me so long. There were so many cars passing through. There were so many flies flying around me, and it's my fault for filming outside, but I rely on natural light. But you know whose fault it is? My wallet, for not having enough money to have ring lights and having to film with natural sunlight. I wrote this in like 1 hour because I was so excited to write about it. Like, I've been thinking and mulling it over in my head for the hugest time, and after 291 came out, I just really had to do it because 1, Dabi is one of my favorite characters in My Hero, 2, Shoto is my favorite character in My Hero, and then Endeavor is also one of my favorite characters in My Hero. And I know this is a hot take, and I know not many people like Endeavor. I just love him a lot. I've seen people on Twitter say that Endeavor stans are usually like dude bros, and I am but a nerdy 22-year-old woman. I really like the way that Horikoshi explores trauma in his characters, and I think they're just genuinely really well written. So yeah, that's my 290 video, done and dusted. I am currently working on the One Piece first 100 chapters review I said I was gonna do, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. Also, I'm not planning on reviewing every single My Hero chapter because I have uni work I'm currently ignoring and I need to work on that, so I don't think I can commit to one video a week exploring the chapters. But if anything like really major happens, like Bakugo's hero name review, I'm planning on doing a little analysis on that. Also, this kind of layer analysis of chapters and specifically anime episodes I'm really interested in doing, so stay tuned for that. I'm currently thinking about doing one about episode 55 of Attack on Titan. Yes, that one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe because I don't have many at the moment. Leave a comment so the algorithm can be nice to me, and like this video, and if you're so inclined, hit that notification bell button so you know whenever I post. Bye bye!
So, filming Tilda is a dumbass and she forgot to plug her social media, so here is editing Tilda having to fix all her problems for her, as usual. You can thank me later. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at UndeadToya, where I'm extremely active, Instagram at UndeadTilda, where I pretend to be cool, my Animalist at UndeadTilda, where you can slowly watch me spiral as I rewatch Attack on Titan for the 10th time, and TikTok at KUW The Todorokis, where I try and fail to be funny.
The cars passing in the background.